Hello. So, you're probably wondering where I've been for the last few months, and I've been working on various projects. So I took time out from this working on this channel, but I kind of want to talk about things in general at the moment, what's going on in the world and stuff. And this year has been a fucking crazy year. It has basically, like, the world has just gone absolutely mad and insane. And it's like no one knows what's really going on. I've been having some, like, about a few months ago, maybe about 3 months ago, I think now. I had two dreams in a row of the woods out back from where I live go up in fire, like that basically, in one instant. And in this dream, one of them, because there was two of them I had. In one of them, I went to see who lit the fire, and I went underneath, the woods and the trees and stuff, and I could see these two, like, young people, probably like teenagers, in my dream. And then this is all before, like, the riots were happening in America, and I think my dream was telling me about that. And then I also saw that explosion, what happened in Lebanon. And taking it back 10 years to when I had that experience, not experience, I mean, I saw the volcano erupt in Iceland. Obviously, I saw it on the news and stuff, I didn't actually see it there, but before that volcano erupted 10 years ago, I had all these visions of, of like, this. I mean, if you look back in my last video or the presentation, I talk about it. There's basically, I had this vision of this entity, what had this kind of, like, looked a bit, reptilian, like a cobra head, but like gold and fiery at the same time. Like it's like a fire entity, basically, a fire elemental, what you could call it, or a fire giant, or Jotun. And that entity came out of that volcano and followed me around for about 3 fucking years, 3 or 4 years, and basically I eventually banished it back into its own realm of, or the realm of Mizpaheim. And so I had those dreams, and they are kind of similar to what I'm to what I was searing into. I was searing into the fires going up in America, where just cities have gone up on fire. I was from the riots. I was looking at, and then that explosion, what happened in Lebanon, and I think what's happening is the Fire Kingdom. The Fire Kingdom is attacking the again, and when the Fire Kingdom attacks, everything fucking changes. And I don't know if this is going to be an ongoing recurrence for every 10 years, because 10 years ago it happened as well. It just happened on a more lower scale than it did now. And I think something every single 0 year, so 10, 20, and even you could trace it back to the 2000, every single 0 year, I think something opens the gates to Muspelheim to come out. And this creates destruction, chaos, etc. But I think it's something to do with what I call here the Dark Elves. And I think if you watch my channel, I've you know, I do go on about them quite a lot because it's like, you know, it's part of my sham- my shamanic tradition. It's all a thing in there, and to understand the dark elves, they use the element of fire because they're made out of shadow and flame, and they also for some reason have a hatred of humanity because humans can excel to the level of a light elf are, or the light elves, whereas the dark elves can never ascend to that unless they come back together with the light elves, and they don't want to do that because of basically something what happened a very long time ago, and both the light elves or the dark elves don't like to fucking talk about it. I've been to uh, Alphaheim and I've been to Svartalfheim, and I've spoken to both of these entities on either side, and they don't like each other. They don't they don't like to talk about each other either of what happened. But all what happens on these not the other 8 worlds around Midgard affects here as well. So if another gateway for certain entities from other realms to come in gets opened, then that can have a lot of effects here as well. And remember, these parallel universes, these other worlds are within us as well. So what we experience here in Midgard is a concrete midpoint, basically, where all the other realms meet. And I think we have to start taking responsibility as shamans and magi and witches to recognize when these so-called supernatural forces from other realms are invading into this realm, and realize to keep them at bay, because Midgard belongs to us. It belongs to the humanity. It doesn't belong to them. They have their other realms they reside in, and they live in, whereas we live here. And you know, all the shit with this fucking virus thing. I mean, I don't know how it was in people, because I know a lot of people who watch my videos are from other parts of the world, but here in Britain, in the UK, when the virus at the peak, when it first hit, even though I don't really think it's actually a real virus, I think it's just basically some sort of, you know, flu that they basically said was a virus so they could basically, you know, put down their so-called draconian laws, which was what they're fucking doing now. And I think a lot of this whole thing about the virus is because they're playing on old timelines, remember. This is why you're fucking seeing flat earth, racism, you know, all fucking communism, you know, and with the virus, the Black Death. You see how they're playing on old timelines at the moment. They've been doing this since 2012 or 17, playing on old timelines, and that's what we're all on. We're all fucking on old timelines. They're playing about in our head all the fucking time at the moment, and it depends how much an individual can remember back to. Now, probably most of the fucking human race on this planet, I mean, and you know, I might be, you know, naive saying this to the whole world, but I can definitely tell you here where I live, where I reside here in Britain or England, most of the people don't know much about what their past was. They probably only know what their, you know, their grandparents told them, and what the the education system and media has told them about what history is. So what fucking timelines they're playing on? I mean, I'm someone that can remember a time before we were brought into this timeline called history. His story. Okay, but what about my story? What about your story? The mystery. The mystery is what is looking into the more esoteric, what was really going on, and seeing why certain peoples do not only appear up into a certain time in history. I mean, my people here in Northern Europe, we only appear on when the Roman Empire comes and gets involved. Before that time, it's like we don't fucking exist. You see how they're playing on all these old timelines, and the virus, that's the fucking Black Death timeline they're playing on. And we got to understand about these whole fucking, the whole fucking thing they're trying to do about it, bringing about these draconian laws, getting everyone to fucking wear a mask over. I mean, I was on the train coming back from Brighton up to where I live. And anyway, you had to wear a mask on this train. It was basically mandatory, so I wore it. It's probably the only time I ever wore a mask, apart from probably a couple times where I had to go into some shops or something. But anyway, I had to wear it, but I hated wearing it. I got onto the train, and for the whole time, for about 2 hours or an hour and a half on this train, I couldn't fucking almost breathe. These fucking masks, like... And, I've heard some people say that basically they're using these masks, putting on us, and that's the real, like, getting... That basically when you put the mask on for a long period of time, you have trouble breathing. And, I'm quite a young person. I'm in my early 30s now, so I'm not going to, die from doing that. But imagine someone who's a bit older having to wear that. Someone all the time. They're eventually going to fucking get killed by it. By wearing a fucking mask. This is the kind of fucking world we're living in at the moment. It's basically putting a fucking muzzle around your mouth. A fucking muzzle. Because that's what they're fucking saying to you. They're saying, you are our fucking dogs, and you do as we fucking say. Well, I'm not a fucking dog, I'm a fucking wolf. I mean, honestly, it's fucking, like, draconian things they're fucking putting down here. But one thing I would say is this. Those people authorizing other people in public to, wear these masks and stand, this amount of distance away from one another. I'm not talking about people doing it. I'm talking about not talking about the people going along with it. I'm talking about the people actually, like, authorizing it, saying you will do. They're not going to be on the fucking right side of history. In about fucking 20 years' time, they're going to be looked at back as, like, the Nazis or something. And I'm sure, like, people watching my video, obviously aren't one of those people. And so you have... The thing is, I don't look at this... You've got to remember that this isn't the end. There is no beginning or end. This will fucking pass. But the thing is... The people that all are fucking going along with this shit at the moment, they're gonna fucking go down with that. And they've done this on purpose. There's also the old timelines that are going around, but there's also, they want to create enough distraction as possible up until 2025. Because it's in 2025 they're going to start initiating their transhumanist AI timeline. Now, I know a lot of people who watch my videos and stuff aren't going to be one of the people who goes down this timeline, but for the people who are younger than me, who, you know, don't look into any of this stuff about anything I speak about here on this channel, or they're going to go right in it head first. Yeah, when they start putting all that fucking, you know, shit in you, the fucking microchips and the metals and, you know, all that fucking crap, that they're going to go right into it. Because it's going to offer them, they're going to offer it like as some sort of like fucking superpower shit. Like, you can watch your computer and your brain. It's like these people's imagination is like so dull and boring. Even if they have one, they have to have a fucking, you know, metal shit in their fucking brain for them to view anything inside their mind. Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm happy that I have a fucking, you know, exciting, imagination that is like that is more interesting than any fucking, even, you know, movie or video game that's put out there. I mean, I go into my imagination and I probably imagine things that basically 80% of the human race have never fucking seen. And it does get to the question, are these people's minds so just dull on the inside and so empty that they need to actually get a microchip in their brain so they can, you know, watch everything they watch on the internet anyway in their brain? I mean, aren't you just happy the internet being on your fucking computer or your phone? Why does it have to be in your, you know, fucking brain? I mean, and then they got this whole thing of the transhumanist thing of wanting to reduce, wanting to prolong life and stuff. And, you know, this is all a way to basically get you into handing over your own natural biological technology that you have within yourself to an inorganic form of technology that you think that you need instead, because you think your own biological technology is useless and broken, because you basically be taught that you as a human being are a piece of shit. This is what they basically have told us for a long period of time now, and most people just soak it up and believe it. And it, you know, I'm obviously someone that doesn't fall for this. But I'm living in a world where, you know, about 80% of the population is falling for this, and what can I, and I have to live in it with them. I mean, on top of all of this, it's just, you do wonder where the world's going. and you do wonder. But then I don't so much like, it's not so much about, because I'm more always concentrating on how to improve myself rather than first trying to go out there and trying to improve the world, because I think I tried to do that when I was younger and it never really worked, because a lot of these like collectivist movements you see, they don't make any change. They always get hijacked. They always get hijacked by the so-called, what you want to call them, the dark forces, whatever you want to call them, the sorcerers in the shadows, the, you know, the agents of darkness, or that's, you know, their terms I use, and what always try to manipulate these things. And so every time there is some sort of like, you know, counter to what's going on, it just gets infiltrated immediately. And I've seen this like happen pretty much every single time throughout my fucking life. So it's gotten to the point where I think this is not going to, the changes aren't going to be done by some mob or masses of people. And like I said, I think us shamans, us mages, us witches, or whatever you want to call us, we need to be the ones, like, almost like we, not like we stand up on a podium or somewhere, or on a throne, and dictating what other, you know, people should do with their lives and stuff like that, but we need to, I think, in our own, you know, districts, our own, you could say, territories, for our own so-called, for our own so-called people here on the ground, wherever we are in the world, we need to start almost being like, you could say guardians in a sense. Guardians, that's a good word. Like guardians in a sense that we kind of like guardians. We've got to see ourselves as guardians sent here to be, to assist with the evolution of humanity. And this is something I don't believe any mass collectivist, you know, mob or movement can ever do, because they're fucking all controlled by the, you know, the sorcerers in the shadows. Whereas we can help on the ground. If that makes sense. And what I'm seeing now is what needs to more importantly even happen than that, though, is the councils are meant to come together, the round table. The round table, the councils, is what desperately needs to come together. And on my end here, I've spoken to someone of another tribe who's we've now have an alliance. And this is how you build bridges, so that eventually the councils can then all come together. And this is something I think they're trying to repress as much as the moment. But I don't think they can anymore, that's the thing. You got to remember the sorcerers and the shadows, the dark ones, whatever you want to call them. Their time is basically gone to a certain degree. They don't have the power they once had here. So their power's decreased. And this is why they're having to do all this shit at the moment, basically. But while they're doing all this, they don't have the time to make sure that we don't start forming these, because that's not on their fucking mind at the moment. So why that fucking shit's going on out there? Remember, they can't fucking keep track of us like they used to. There's too many of us now on the fucking planet to keep track of. They don't have that fucking time or energy either. So this is now actually a perfect time. And you have to, you know, put your differences aside and all those, you know, past, you know, divisions. That's not only been through our personal life, but also our ancestors' lives as well. We have to put that aside for a moment. Because we have now a common enemy. Remember, they want us divided and ruled. Because that's the way they've always done it, and they want to continue on doing that. But unfortunately, those things are now dissipating as we enter kind of a end of a cycle that we've been in for, I think it's about 25,000 years, so correct me if I'm wrong. But they want to keep us in a lockdown. And I'm not talking about even in a physical sense. I'm talking about in a mental sense, in a spiritual sense, in a metaphysical sense. They want us all on lockdown so that we don't continue with our lives in multiple different ways. I mean, the whole lockdown thing hasn't actually affected, obviously, my life as much as other people, because, you know, I know there's a lot of, like, you know, people have really suffered from all of this, and and from what has happened, the lockdown and everything, the amount of, like, fucking jobs people have now, you know, no longer have any more. For people living in cities, they have to obviously keep to these, you know, these silly fucking stupid laws that they've brought in because of this more than I do. Because obviously I'm out living here in the, you know, somewhere in the countryside, so you don't really get that so much around here. But like, I was going to go on holiday to Canada this year, but they locked that down as well. So, well, they haven't. Well, it's just because of, basically, it's something stupid. Like, I heard it's like you have to, if you go somewhere, you have to then isolate yourself in something like. When you go to the aeroplane, you have to basically isolate yourself once you get there, and you have to isolate yourself again once you get back, even if you don't have it at all. And it's just it's like a training program, a fucking training program they're putting us through to see which ones are obedient and which ones aren't. Suicides have actually gone up as well. And I kind of was prepared this was going to happen about few years ago now, I saw this coming down the timeline of a lot of people committing suicide, and there's plenty of multiple reasons for that. The fact that mental health has gone up like staggeringly in the last 100 years, and then on top of that, this putting people in absolute fear. Because you've got to remember, for some people, this is like, for people like me, people who watch this video, we've been through, probably some weird fucking experiences, like really ones what probably no one will ever like experience in their life. Well, most people won't experience in life. But you've got to think for your average normie, right? Average normie who's like walking through life, hasn't had anything like weird or supernatural or bizarre, truly bizarre happen to them, and has had the conventional, bog standard, lifestyle, way of living. Especially if they're young, they haven't, obviously they wouldn't have experienced. And then suddenly this happens. I saw people around the time about a few months ago when this thing was a bit more, more people believed it. People running around like fucking headless chickens, like literally running around like it was basically absolutely like bonkers. It was like a mental asylum has just been released onto the streets. Coupled that with like a 1984 type, police state. Where they controlled the way you move. They controlled how long you stay outside. Like, oh yeah, that's it. They had these things at the the local supermarket of there's these lines on the floor saying having to stay 2 meters away. Like, and also I think if you saw someone, and because if you saw someone who had a flu, like, who's coughing up, like, all the fucking time and sneezing, you obviously, everyone in their own common sense is not going to want to go near that person, are they? Well, but to put all these like laws and stuff down for everyone, it's just like this is just absolute fucking bullshit. And obviously over here in the UK, if you don't know, and God, this is like, some people over here, I'm not sure, but I think in America you've got a bit more, of that Clint Eastwood mentality over there going on. I don't know if that is true or not, if it's just some, stereotypes us Brits have. I think you've got a bit more of that, rough, ready kind of, that, I don't know, maybe this is just, my own delusions about, the country, but I think you've got a bit more men who are a bit more tough, people a bit more tough in America. Whereas over here in the UK, we're basically been pretty much made into a nanny state. And I'm not just saying this is the UK, because there's other countries in Europe have this as well, but we are basically like very docile. The public is very docile, and a lot of the time we have a phrase over here called "keep calm, carry on," and it's just carry on. Don't question. Don't cause any any trouble. Just carry on. We've never had a revolution in this country. Now, Guy Fawkes, and we have a celebration every single 5th of November with fireworks and stuff, and going up and everything for it every single year, 5th of November. we have here for the Guy Fawkes. And Guy Fawkes actually used someone, he did try to plan a revolution on Parliament and never succeeded. And so in our minds from that time, we've always had this almost like this mythological cycle in our head that we, even if we try to do a revolution, we can never successfully do one. Whereas you see in France right now, they have police standing by the people now, side by side of the people, throwing their handcuffs on the floor saying, "We're with you." Because France won a revolution. And so that mythological cycle plays in their head that we can win this revolution. America, the United States is the same thing. But here in Britain, we don't have that. And this gets people to be like all conforming to the government. And yeah, there are people here, obviously, like myself, who are just fed up with this now. But there's a large percentage of, trust me, a large percentage of the British population, particularly in the middle class and the upper class as well. And that just complies to everything. They go home, they switch on their TV, watch the BBC and news and reports of what it says, believe it, and then continue with that. And they have complete trust in the system as well. It's just like there's a country. That's what it is. Britain is a country full of fucking sheep. And I'm a fucking wolf, so I'm, walking around. But we are a country full of fucking sheep. I mean, what fucking happened to us? We used to be, knights of the fucking round table over here. Our ancestors were Vikings, Anglo-Saxon warriors. We used to basically pick up the sword and go and, battle out in the fields. I think it also has to do with the fact that, since World War I, World War II, the strongest and most bravest and courageous men went out to fucking just die. And so what you're left with is basically an undesirable, inferior genetics now in the population to what we previously had before the first two world wars. And those two world wars didn't happen by accident. They were fucking manufactured, put into place. And then we went and gone and fought our brothers and sisters overseas, on the continent, fighting each other, bombing each other to, bits. For what? I mean, what did our fucking ancestors die for? For this? For this? For a malignant, psychopathic elite to just retake power. They basically fucking just died for nothing. I mean, if they could see the world what it is like today for fighting for that, they would probably put both people on both sides of that war would have put down their fucking guns and went, oh, go home and just, I'm not fighting for fucking this. Because when they're out there fighting, they thought they were, like, you know, fighting the, you know, powers of evil. But what they didn't realise is those powers of evil were always above them. Like the puppet with the, yeah, manipulating the whole entire thing the entire time. And obviously they didn't have the information to ever understand that at the time, because they, you know, isn't like the world we live in today. But we do have the information to understand that now, and I mean, people don't want to accept that. At this point, it's just ignorance at this point, to be honest. It's not even like to think that governments, corporations, the banks, industries, all of it, are ruled by benevolent, you know, kind people. Anyone who believes that is either a fucking moron or just absolute ignorance. But I think there is a point now where where that's starting to be recognised. Maybe not on a huge mass, or I think enough people recognise that they're, you know, that the, you know, all of that is pretty obvious by now. So, so I probably will be making more videos from now on. I do want to carry on with the Giantology series, but I do also want to cover a lot of other stuff as well. And I mean, there's about, you know, hundreds of subjects I could go through, and it's about how it's not so much about even the knowledge so much, it's more about the how do I, you know, put that into a context that people can, like, you know, easily understand. Because I think if you don't have background knowledge in these kind of esoteric subjects, then a lot of this can come across as quite confusing and quite, you know, a lot to take in. So I'm going to try and... This is why when I come on here, I try and make my videos actually quite simple, so people can understand it more in a more... And if people want to, like, you know, look more into depth into these subjects, they can in their own time. I mean, I will probably do, as you know, as time goes on, I probably will do some more videos which will go more into like some sort of depth, but as I haven't really covered everything on a basis yet, on a primary basis, which I've been doing for, like, you know, several years now on this channel, I do want to kind of do a lot more of that, because I think the basics, the primary source hasn't been like fully done yet, for the secondary, more detailed sources to come in. And also I've been working on other projects as well. Been working on a book I'm working on. I also might probably make some stuff as well, some like magical objects and stuff to sell eventually. And I also, what I do actually want to do is actually have some people I know obviously you probably would have had to like had a conversation with me on via video chat before, but like for people to come on here on this channel so I can like interview them and or more have like a talk with them, and because I think by doing that it kind of feels like the watcher is almost in the conversation as well. I kind of want to do like that, like have people come on this channel, like have talk with talk with me about all, you know, well, about anything what's somewhere related to what I talk about, but like to come on here and have a like discussion and stuff like that. And I think that'd be a really good way to kind of expand things a bit more, so it just doesn't feel like it's just me talking to you on here all the time. And it kind of like brings in, you know, new perspectives and stuff like that, and new ways of looking at things, and rather than, and you know, there's obviously on Black Earth Productions, Zephicus has been doing this for a while now. He invites people on to talk, and I think that's kind of a similar thing to what I want to start doing. I'll probably have my own way of doing it, but I do want to like make it a bit more like make it a bit more like different from how I've been doing it for the last about, I can't remember how much I've been, about 4 or 5, whatever, how long I've been on here for, and kind of making it a bit like stepping it up a bit more, making it more maybe I might do some of the videos a bit more longer. I do find them very short, but I think by making them short though, it makes it more like it makes it more easy for people to digest. But also would like to know what like the viewers on this like channel would like to see from me. I mean, if you could give like some recommendations of certain things you would like to see on this channel come like to light, then that would be good, because it's kind of like hard knowing where to like what should I talk about sometimes, because there's like so much stuff to like, you know, talk about. And I think that's one of the reasons why I haven't posted anything to a while, because I just thought there were so many ideas going through my head, and I thought, well, I've done videos for a bit, maybe I should try and write a book now. And I've been trying to write this book. It's going to take quite a while because there's so much to go into, but I think this kind of brings me to a point of maybe I need to like start changing the way I present things, or compared to how I've been doing it for a while now. So that's what I'm going to talk about. That's what I've always got to talk about today. You know, I will probably post another video soon, and until then, take care.